Hey guys, it's Vernie here. It has been a while. I will go ahead and apologize. I have not really been making videos. Things have been kind of in a lull for season two. Um, Mostly just been raid logging. Haven't really been doing too many dungeons. I don't know. I kind of just lost interest. I think I was just going a little too hard on too many characters. I mean, there were multiple weeks where I had 13 vaults, like every single class. I was doing dungeons at least one a week on every single class for months. I pretty much got everything to 440, and so I didn't feel the need to keep pushing too much more. So I kind of just got bored, so I kind of just stopped posting videos. I stopped doing vaults, so I'll apologize for that. Also apologize because I sound a little sick. We just got back from BlizzCon last week. I think I caught something there, got a sinus infection. I've been pretty congested and feeling pretty crappy the last few days, but we're on the up and up, and next week is 10.2, so we're super excited. And we're gonna just go over a recap real quick, just like we did for season one. Maybe talk a little bit about our plans for season two, or season three rather. So let's go ahead and get through this. So, predictably, I played with all the different specs in Raid and in Mythic Plus. Nothing really to talk about here. Gear Evolution. Biggest non-legendary gear upgrade. 53 item levels. And that was, I think, on our Warlock. I had a Season 1 Alchemist Stone from when I was just starting to gear him. And then the very first heroic raid we did, I was the only person eligible to roll on the Echo Trinket, which was 53 item levels. Pretty fucking sick. Never ever happens. You love to see it. And then I quit that character. So, yeah. Moving on to bosses. Raid bosses defeated. 641 raid bosses. I actually don't know how that compares to season one. Let me
He's
see if I
about,
can
I think,
pull it
four.
up real quick. I feel like I did less than that in season one. Sorry. Really disorganized of me to pull this up in the middle of a video. 470 bosses. So yeah, I did way more raiding this tier. I think just because like the ease of raiding, like getting into an Aberrus Pug was super easy. And the trinkets are by far the best thing. Like every single class wanted a trinket from the raid. They wanted a chromatic essence. Funnily enough, I had 0 chromatic essences up until this week from the vault. So I raided on multiple characters every single week trying to get good trinkets. I got 1 beacon. I think my Vengeance DH got a beacon from Heroic. I got 0 essences. I got 1 Rashox on my Preservation Evoker. And that's really it. I had pretty shitty luck with trinkets this tier. It was really, really unfortunate. Season one from Vault, I got pretty lucky being able to get mythic icons. I think I had 3 or 4 mythic icons, and this was like the exact opposite of that. So that was quite frustrating. In terms of bosses, 36 on mythic, which we did not extend hardly at all. So this is going to be mostly my main with a little bit of alt kills. There was a Sunday alt run I was doing for a while that killed the first 5 bosses, so I've got a couple duplicates here. But most of these, after the first like 4 or 5 weeks, we just did one and done. And if you notice here, there is a Sarkareth kill, so we did get cutting edge. Right before the end, I was a little on edge thinking we might not get it because the guild actually killed it a week that I was gone. So we had to re-kill it. We ended up killing it last week, like right before the patch, for the second time. So I was really happy with that. That was my main goal, was to get cutting edge. So we're pretty pleased with that. And I guess I didn't talk about 469 heroics. As you can see, like the bulk of it, like 85% of it is heroic. Normal, I really didn't do too many, but we ran heroic probably 3 times a week at minimum. Never forget your first time. It's just number of pulls for each mythic boss. So yeah. Scale Commander Sarkareth, 325 pulls. I think the guild killed it on like 260 or 270, and then the other like 50 or 60 pulls was us getting our re-kill for me and my girlfriend who missed it. Yeah, Echo is another 200 pulls. That was a rough one. I did not have fun there. Mag was also kind of slow because it was supposed to be a really easy boss, but we had some raiders who had some real problems soaking. So that was a bit of a struggle. 86, and then what? Rashok 120. Expected. We also struggled pretty hard on Forgotten Experiments. Prot Warrior was not fun on that. We had a lot of problems with tanks staying alive there and having to allocate healers to the tanks instead of the raid, which that was not super good. We actually completed this whole tier with double Prot Warrior. I think we were the world first guild to do that, and that's not a good thing. But we've fixed the tanking situation going forward, so next season we'll have some more diverse tanks, which is great. Moving on, progress duration. One raid, one reset in heroic, one reset for normal, two resets for AOTC and heroic, and then 25 raid resets. I think the guild killed it on the 20th or 21st raid reset, and that was the one that I happened to miss. We were gone for like 1 week because we were in Europe for my girlfriend's work. But we did get it. I'm very happy with that. Mythic key progression. As you can see, like the first week, we got up to 17s. Second week, we got up to 18s. Did a couple, like 120 or 2, week 6, and then I took a very long break. And then this spike here, like 22s, that is actually 10.1.5, I think it was, when they released the Augmentation Evoker. It's either 0.2 or 0.5, I can't remember which, but whenever they released Augmentation, I came back and I banged out all my 20s because they were a fucking joke. Augmentation plus Shadow was insane. I definitely played some God Comp dungeons here, and it was a breeze. And then kind of just petered off after that. We haven't really done much since then. You know, we got our 8 portals on the Priest, and then our Evoker ult, we got like 6 portals done. I mean, I just didn't really try to get them. We've got some scattered portals on some of the ults, but it's mostly the Priest and the Augmentation. You're an Altaholic. You run Mythic Plus on a total of 13 classes and 24 specs. Most run is obviously Shadow Priest, so 68 on Shadow. I did a lot on Enhancement. Enhancement is pretty fun. It's still looking to be pretty good next season. Shadow has been gutted. I would not recommend playing it. I am not playing Shadow. Spoiler alert. And then as you can see, I've got just a smattering of other stuff. You know, a tank, healer, a couple more tanks, random DPS. I did one run as dev. I don't remember doing that, but so I played most of the specs. I didn't play Cat. I didn't play DPS DK. I didn't really bother with like Arcane Mage or Affliction, but who knows? Maybe this tier we'll see. Top Mythic Plus composition. This is interesting. Prot Warrior, Holy Priest, Dev Evoker, Outlaw Rogue, Ret Paladin. This must have been like the very first week. So for the first part of the first week, I played almost exclusively on my Rogue, thinking that I was going to be on my Rogue. And then I kind of doomed like extra hard and decided to pivot like the day before raid started to Shadow Priest. And so the first week I ran like 15 keys, 20 keys on my Rogue, which would be here as Outlaw, and I played with my Devastation and Ret friend. And then I decided that I didn't want to do it, and I hated it, and I was scared it was going to be terrible in raid, because I don't know, I was just doing super hard reading the Discord, I guess. And then we didn't really have PIs, and so I was like, oh, I'll just go Shadow Priest. Shadow Priest looks fun, and then I was just hooked just because the cleave was insane. And so here you can see later on, I became this meta player. I was the Shadow Priest guy. Most run dungeons. I mean, this has to be Freehold, right? Yeah, predictably Freehold. Freehold was super fun. Really good trash pulls. The bosses were rebalanced in a nice way. All the things I complained about last season where I was like really worried that Freehold would be bad, they fixed. So Freehold was very good. It didn't feel like it was like Mega Steamroll easy. Like the tank still had to know what to do. Like the trash is still pretty dangerous, but the bosses were fine. Neltharis, once I figured out the chain tech, also a fine dungeon. We ran a lot of Neltharis just because Spoils was good. So that's the bulk of this. Underrot, by far the easiest one this season. It was, I wouldn't say it was on par with Shadow Moon Burial Grounds from Season 1, but it was pretty easy. was my least favorite this one. I mean, it's got to be Vortex Pinnacle. On Fortified, some of the trash is really miserable. And Tyrannical, the bosses were awful. I mean, the bosses early on, they had to nerf like 5 or 6 times because they were just so hard to heal. The dragon boss was terrible. The third boss, with the ad scaling, just destroyed you. And if you didn't have some amazing sick healer, you just couldn't do it. So I avoided Vortex Pinnacle. Closest key, 8 seconds left. Was a 21 Old Man, Legacy of Tyr. That was probably for a portal. On Augmentation. Or my Shadow Priest, I don't remember which. I mean, that's really not that close. 8 seconds is not that close comparatively. Timer left on a fastest key, +2 Nelth Slayer. What would I have done a +2? I must have done a +2 for just like a bullshit, like 2-token vault or something. I don't know. Finished total 4 keys with less than 25 seconds left. IO score. I mean, here it's going to kind of flatline. You know, we got KSM in the first 2 weeks, which is pretty easy. You just do like a, what? Is it like a 13 on Fortified and Tyrannical? If you do one of each key, then that gets you 2,000 pretty easily. And then 2,500 is like a 17 or 18 on each Fortified and Tyrannical. So we slowly built up here. Week 4 we got Keystone Hero. And this is kind of where I petered out. And then when they released Augmentation, I went from 2,500 to, 28-ish. And I kind of stopped there. I haven't really had a whole lot of interest in pushing more. I don't know, maybe this season with my new class swap, which we'll talk about at the end, maybe I'll decide to push higher because it'll challenge me more, but I just didn't find any interest in it, and really none of my friends did either, so without a consistent key group to push past like the 22s and 23s, it just doesn't seem worth it. I'm not really a big fan of bugging. Mythic Plus Buddies. During Season 2, you push keys with 875 other characters. Top 5 being Adele, this is one of our tanks, who will be tanking for us again next year. Treyrot, this is my Ret friend. I think he's going Mage next year. Lizard Wizard, which is my Evoker friend, he's going Boomkin. Kyriev, this is one of our healers. He's playing Augmentation next season. And then Jim Monster, I believe he's playing Hunter. So these are all guildies. They'll all be playing with us next year. And that's it for the recap. Now we can briefly look at my spreadsheet that I started. So as you can see, it's got the date, the character that I played, the dungeon, the level, the affixes, the result, whether it was deplete, timed, or abandoned, and then the composition, plus some little notes. I mean, there's not a whole lot to talk about here. We can just give a brief overview. So here I did my first 4 keys or whatever on my rogue, and I had done 20 or 30 keys the previous week, just getting used to all the specs. I did not like Sin. Sub was okay, but I heard Sub was going to be lower middle of the pack, which was obviously wrong. They were definitely above the middle of the pack. Race World first, I think most guilds played at least 1, if not 2 sub rogues. Sub was fine. Outlaw was pretty shit, and Sin was not good at all. But looking at next season, Rogue looks to be pretty hot. They're coming fresh off a rework, so that's kind of exciting. But I won't be playing them. Anyway, I did a couple of dungeons at the beginning of Season 2, and I was like, I don't want to play this. I don't like it. I'm not having fun. I felt like I didn't have a lot of control, and that I couldn't, flex at all. The Rogue is locked into the DPS, and I kind of hate that lack of flexibility as a player. So here I tried a couple keys on the Shaman, and I had fun. The Shaman was fun, but we had a lot of melee. I didn't want to play a melee. And then I found the Priest. And here you can see first Shadow Shitter key. It was a Halls of Infusion 12, which we obviously timed. And I don't know, something about it just really grabbed me. The nature of its cleave plus priority damage was fun. I loved having PI. I like it with cooldowns. Single target's just okay. It's nothing amazing. But that and the dungeon pool in this season was really conducive to Shadow's kit. Mass Dispel was definitely overpowered and deserved to be nerfed, so it's now in the toilet, which makes sense. It also had really good off-healing with Vampiric Embrace. So, as you can see, after 3 days, I randomly pivoted here on the 11th to Shadow, and then that first week, I mean, I went and did like 30, almost 40 keys on my Shadow Priest the first week just to try and catch up because I was not geared at all. And I think the highest we did was an 18. Did we time an 18 the first week? That's a deplete here. Deplete here. The Vortex Pinnacle was pretty hard. Halls was kind of challenging. We definitely timed to 17. And we did abandon here. There's our one abandon for the week. No, we had two abandons for the week. The first abandon, walled at the second boss. My damage was low, and survivability was 0. Oh, so this is the totem boss on Nelth Slayer, which they did nerf a bunch. The rocks falling from the ceiling like basically two-shot you, and it was extremely hard to stay alive. I could not kill stuff fast enough. Our second deplete was an old man. It was probably, yeah, walled by second boss. Again, couldn't kill the totem fast enough. The Trog wouldn't rage, and then he would just start shitting all over us. So, but yeah, a lot of Shadow Priest this week. And the second week, a good mix of Shadow Priest. Yeah, I did some tank keys here with Fist of Vern. Did some tank keys with Vern Strike. Did some tank keys with Felvern. I played around with a lot of the tanks. Honestly, I thought I was going to be tanking this coming tier. But ended up needing to be played. I just needed to play a different role. You know, I need to fill a different role for the team, and I kind of elect myself as a flex player, so that's what I ended up doing. Anything super notable to talk about? I mean, for most of the season, I played classes that could interact with all of the affixes because I tend to play hybrids. So stuff like Incorporeal, Afflicted, Entangling, no problem for me. Entangling is also like the easiest affix by far. But I know a lot of classes like Warrior and DK struggled with Incorporeal or Afflicted because they couldn't really interact. They have made a couple changes to make them able to do some things, you know, with like Heal Undead or Control Undead or Shattering Throw, but they're still, if you're not a hybrid, you're just not going to be able to interact as much. And Mass Dispel was obviously goated, so we got to do a lot of fun shit with Mass Dispel. And let's look at where Og came out. Somewhere down here. It was also worth noting that I did like 300 and... How much was it? 360 dungeons? 384 dungeons. In Season 1, I did 550, so it was a pretty marked step down in keys that I did, and I don't know if that was just me being bored or just burned out or what, but... Okay, so here's where Og comes out, and then you just start seeing Ogs in every fucking run. Og. Here we go. Yeah, so this is like the day of the patch, I think. And I went in on my priest, and I got 4 portals in a row after having 0 20s done the entire season. Like, time 20s. I mean, it was just a joke. Easy 20, time with 9 minutes left. August nuts. 4 time 20s, lol. Yeah. I had some really toxic notes in here, too. But then, some more Og keys here. As you can see, Og shows up a lot from that point forward. And then I think I got a couple 20s here in my augmentation. And then by the end of the season, I was just kind of bored, so I just stopped really playing. So here we get into August, and as you can see, September, there's almost nothing. There's a couple keys to get my shaman, like his last gem slots, because I played Priest up until Magmarax Mythic, and then I looked at the last 2 fights, Echo of Neltharion and Sarkareth, and Shadow it looked really unfun. It kind of struggles with movement. It struggles with like certain single target burns, and I just did not want to play it. So I ended up rolling off the Shadow Priest and played Enhancement Shaman for the last 2 bosses. I gave one of our melee groups Wind Fury, and I did pretty good ad damage, so this is me getting like my last socket. And then here at the end, you see a bunch of random Holy Verni keys that should be indicative of something, and that we are playing Holy Paladin for this next season. So we'll just quickly go over Season 3 plans. So we lost our Holy Paladin after Sarkareth due to some real-life obligations. And we couldn't really find any good applicants. We didn't really have anyone with a lot of experience in the guild, so I have played it a lot. And I was like, you know what, I'll play it. I like Holy Paladin. I mained it in TBC. I mained it in Wrath. I mained it for Part of Cataclysm, and then I quit, and then I mained it again in End of Legion, like Nighthold into Antorus. I played it a lot. So I've played it like intermittently. It's a playstyle I'm pretty familiar with. It's like the weird melee healer with lots of utility. So that is what I'm going to be maining next season. And my alts, I'm probably just going to keep the healers up more. We're going to be healing more this season, so I'll be looking at giving Disc a shot. Preservation I'll play for sure. I already know how to play it. And Resto Druid and Mistweaver. Probably won't play Resto Shaman a whole lot, but so for raid, the main's gonna be the Holy Paladin, and we'll be doing a lot more healer keys. So if you want to check out healer content, I will stream on Twitch. But yeah, in terms of the goals that I set for myself for this season, I think I met all of them. You know, I got the 2800 again, right under 2800. I got all my portals on one character. I got portals on some other characters. And we got CE. So overall, pretty successful season. I got to play a lot of different alts. You know, I got every character to 440, so pretty much everything is geared going into this next raid, which I haven't really looked at too much. It looks nice just from a aesthetic perspective. I am pretty excited. It kind of weird to me that this is the last patch of the season. I was really hoping for a 10.3 and a big final raid with like Iridicron and some kind of Void tie-in, but it looks like they're going to use this with a small patch after Amirdrasil to tie in the next expansion. So we'll see. We're pretty excited for this 3 expansion reveal, see where Blizzard goes with the story. Obviously, there's still some threads left to be tied off, so we're pretty excited. Yeah, and definitely once the new season comes out, I'll be back to posting regular content. I'll be streaming more often, be doing keys. So if you want to look at some healer POV, feel free to give me a look. I can't say I'm one of the best healers, but I'm dedicated to getting better. I'll probably be a little more complainy. I tend to complain a lot when I'm healing because I don't like when people stand on avoidable shit, but we'll work on that. So yeah, thanks everyone for joining me. Catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Veronix. Hope to see you there. And yeah, that'll be the end of the recap, and we'll start posting more content after 10.2 releases next week. You know, good luck next week in the raid and New Mythic Plus, and we'll see you gamers soon. Peace.